What's up? This is Anthony speaking. The Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 is launching in less than 1 week, and with it comes a brand new experience in video games. Faster load times, 4K gaming, higher frame rates, and potentially dope exclusives. But with great power comes great responsibility. And if you don't have the right equipment to take advantage of what the Series X and the PlayStation 5 can do, then you're upgrading for no reason. So we're going to help you figure out what you need to get the most out of your PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X. Thankfully, most of you won't have to do much, but we're here just in case. And don't worry, when I need to mention the Series S, I will. All right, let's do this. The first thing you need to think about is space. Mostly, you don't want to store the console in a tight space where air can't get out. Both consoles are powerful and will emit heat. So whatever you do, don't put it in a space where the heat can get trapped. For the Series X, most of the heat will be blown out of the top of the console, but there's also a small hole in the back where heat will escape as well. Keep those areas free from obstruction. So if you plan on placing it inside a cabinet in your entertainment center, sorry, those cracks from the cabinet door or little holes in the back will not cut it. Even if the back of the cabinet is open but the top vent is nearly right up on the top of the cabinet, that's not going to be helpful either. You want this thing to run as fast and for as long as possible. It needs space. The same goes for the PlayStation 5, which is probably the biggest console since the Atari 5200. The PlayStation 5 measures at 15.4 inches tall, 10.24 inches deep, and 4.09 inches wide. And for these new consoles, we don't know how reliable their cooling will be. So do yourself a favor and make sure that whatever you get, you want to give it room to perform. Also remember, Black Friday is this month too, so if you're looking to upgrade your entertainment center to showcase your Series X or PlayStation 5, look for something that has an open back, an open front, and has enough space at the top so it can breathe. Or, just sit it on top. The next thing you're probably thinking about is playing on a big old 4K screen. That's great, but you have to buy the right TV or monitor. If you're looking to play in 4K, obviously you're going to need a TV or monitor that renders 4K. 4K is a big selling point for TV makers, and dang near every TV in the last year or two will be 4K, so you don't have to worry too much about that. But if you want to do 4K 60 gaming, you at least need an HDMI 2.0 cable. That cable has a bandwidth of up to 18 gigabytes. So when buying a cable, make sure you look for 18 gigabytes. Thankfully, both consoles will come with HDMI 2.1 cables, which carry up to 48 gigabytes of bandwidth. You're set for a very long time with those cables. Keep in mind, the HDMI ports on your TV or audio receiver will also need to be at least HDMI 2.0 compliant, but most modern TVs and receivers adhere to that standard. But if you want to play games or watch videos that are 4K 120, you will need that HDMI 2.1 cable, but also an HDMI 2.1 port on your TV or audio receiver. At that point, you're gonna have to do some research on which TVs have HDMI 2.1 ports. However, the Xbox Series S will come with an HDMI 1.4 cable, which has around 10 gigabytes of bandwidth available. That's enough for playing at 1080p 120. But if you want to push to 1440p 120, you're going to need at least an HDMI 2.0 cable. Keep that in mind. And in case you're wondering, if you're looking to take advantage of HDR, you'll need an HDR-capable TV. Now, if you're into frame rate, you'll have to consider another factor besides cable bandwidth. You need a TV or monitor that can keep up with the amount of pixels flying by. Modern TVs are already able to do 60 frames per second. Most TVs in the 2000s are capable of 60 frames per second, so you really don't have to worry too much about it. But if you want to push to 120 frames per second, it gets very hard to figure out the truth from the marketing. If you're looking for a TV that can push 120 frames per second, you'll want to look at refresh rate. Oh, you can't find it? Yeah, because most major TV manufacturers use phrases like motion rate or motion flow XR or effective refresh rate or some other ridiculous marketing term. Most of the time, these numbers are not true to what the monitor is actually doing. It's not entirely deceptive, but for the purpose of gaming, it's definitely not clear enough. Let's just say this: TV refresh rate is trying to reduce motion blur, so they use different tactics to get that done, and they market that as a higher refresh rate. But for gaming, we're not trying to reduce motion blur, we're looking for compatibility. If you're running a 120 frames per second game on a 60 Hz monitor, that monitor can't keep up, and you'll notice screen tearing and increased motion blur, two things you don't want. So we recommend getting familiar with TV manufacturers' numbers. Most times, the numbers are double what the actual refresh rate is. So if you see a 120 Hz TV, more than likely the actual screen refresh rate is 60 Hz. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes a 240 Hz TV is still 60 Hz. So in the description of this video, I've attached two CNET articles. One tells you monitors that do support 4K and 120 frames per second. And if none of those monitors suit you in price, there's an article that explains TV manufacturers' numbers so you can do your homework reliably. There's a lot to consider, and we don't have time to go over it in the video. So check out those two CNET articles. All right, you have your console. You have the right TV and the HDMI cable to go with it. Now you need space. Wait, no, we already talked about that space. We need hard drive space. The Xbox Series X comes with an SSD that is very fast and stores about 1 terabyte, which accounting for the operating system will probably amount to around 900 gigabytes. But if you want to increase your storage capacity, you have two options. If you're playing a lot of backwards compatible games, using a 7200 RPM hard drive will do just fine. But if you want more storage for games that are optimized for Series X and eventually exclusive Series X games, you'll have to buy Microsoft's 1 terabyte expansion card. It's expensive, coming in at $220. Microsoft says they will get cheaper, but since there's no other option, read competition, that card is all you got. The same goes for the Xbox Series S, which uses the same SSD as its B for your brother. Unfortunately, if you're buying the Series S, the extra storage space may be necessary since the Series S only has 512 gigabytes of storage available. Granted, that's what's on the box, so it will probably be less when you get your hands on it. The PlayStation 5 is a little more complicated. The PlayStation 5 uses a similar SSD style to the Xbox, but it's tuned to be faster than their competitor. And Sony wants to make sure you always feel that speed. So instead of forcing you to buy a proprietary SSD built for the PlayStation 5, Sony is allowing you to buy third-party M2 NVMe SSDs. A lot of letters in there. But as Sony puts it, only ones that are certified by Sony will work. And unfortunately, Sony says none will be certified at launch. There are some pretty fast options on the market already, but they cost around the same amount as Microsoft's 1 terabyte expansion, and they haven't been certified by Sony yet. So even when Sony certifies specific cards, don't expect them to be any cheaper. This is new technology, but it's designed to be more future-proof. So for now, we gotta pay. Welcome to a taste of the PC gaming life. But don't worry, we'll keep you updated on the newly certified SSD and hopefully be able to test drive them for you. And that is the list of things you need to know before buying or receiving your brand new consoles. Make sure you have a compatible TV and cable, especially if you're looking to hit 4K 120. Understand your storage options, and make sure to give your console plenty of space to breathe. With whatever console you're getting, we hope that you have fun with it, and we hope this video has been helpful to make your experience better. Please tap the thumbs up button if you found the video helpful, and make sure to subscribe to get continued info on Sony's certified SSD, gameplay videos and comparisons, and commentary on the latest gaming news. My name is Anthony. Thank you for watching.